All right, let's kick this off. Again, welcome to everyone. Thanks for again joining, carving out time in your day. We believe it will be time well invested. Today, we're joined by our strategic partner Vonage to talk about how to generate profit when migrating to a remote phone system. My name is Brian Babich. I'm the Senior Director of Sales here for the U.S. with AppSmart, where we're home to the world's largest business-to-business marketplace. What's really cool about that for so many of you partners that are out there is we have the portfolio of the traditional telco products you might be used to, but also energy and SaaS as well. Today, you're going to learn a lot. I believe you're going to have ideas and techniques shared about this this case study that we're going to go over. You're going to be told about some tools and some techniques available through AppSmart as well and through Vonage. So I just encourage you to buckle in. I know the distractions of phones and dings and everything like that, but if you want to turn it off, grab a pen and a paper, go a little old school, and just invest in yourself for the next 45 minutes. I highly encourage it. Today, I'm joined by John Komos, who's the Senior Regional Channel Manager at Vonage. Hello, John.
Hey there.
John and we go back. We have history, and then our very own and the very talented George Aldea, our Senior Sales Engineer. So, George, hello again. Thanks for joining as well.
Hey, everyone.
Just some quick housekeeping. Go ahead and enter any questions you have for these guys in the chat. They're going to be taking it over in a couple minutes and really diving into some things. And what you're going to hear from them about is really where Vonage is at today. And I think that when you hear what they have to say and what John shares, it'll potentially shift some of your perspective of all they have to offer and how you can get positioned and really utilize them in the marketplace. I believe that you're also going to really hear about this use case where we're going to go over correct me if I'm wrong, John, it was the second largest funeral home and cemetery company in the country. So you guys are going to dive into that and kind of some of the unique timing of this as well as you guys were working this account. And then you're going to hear about the Vonage partner experience. And I think that's really cool. I know the partner really well who participated in this, and I know the feedback that he gave throughout the whole experience and the support you guys gave. So the story that they tell today will walk through these different elements in some different fashions. So that's what we have going. But before we start with that, let's get to know John a little bit. So John, how are you?
Good. Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you sponsoring this and joining. Appreciate your partnership. We have some history. I know we go back some years. So it's really exciting to be able to do this with you. I remember years ago when I met you when I first started, which I think we might talk about a little bit. I remember actually sharing, we were on a plane to go to Channel Partners, and I remember you coming down. I'm like, oh, there's that Komos guy. And then you actually sat next to me. So we had a chance to catch up for, 3.5 hours from Detroit to Las Vegas.
I had to leave first class to come back to coach, right?
Yeah, just to talk to me. So again, we have some history, but let's dive in a little bit about you. Where are you from? I just kind of shared that you're from Michigan, but even more specific, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Certainly. So I'm based out of Detroit, Michigan. I've been in the industry for a very long time, starting back I think I was like 24 years old, right? Back in the 80s. And it was interesting because I was hired by a company called Sprint Corporation. And, the interview process was quite unusual because back then I was a disc jockey and I was doing a party for this company called Sprint. I think it was their Christmas party, a holiday event. And this guy had my microphone and he was telling everybody about the industry and where it's going. And, he sold me. He sold me on the industry. So, later in the night after a couple of cocktails, I went up to the guy and I asked him for a job. I said, hey, how does a guy like me get a job with your company? He told me, he said, well, I tell you, if you can bring that DJ gear with you, you can come and start Monday, Oh,
wow.
So, yeah. So it's been a great ride. I spent about 15 years in the channel. 1 year out of that 15, I tried to be an agent. And I got to tell you, man, I give those agents a lot of credit that stuck with it because you know what, that's a tough job. It's a tough, company to get started, but if you hang in there, there's a lot of rewards. So, that's the story.
Interesting.
Brian, you've been in the industry for a while. How did you fall into it?
Yeah, I've been in the business since '96. Ironically, I was actually, if you're from Michigan, you know that area over off of 16 Mile, the Standard Felder building. I was actually at a network marketing event with a company called ACN, and the guy speaking, I started talking to him after. In fact, became a great friend, Terry Judge. He's local here, ended up standing up at my wedding. And he said, hey, this is what I do. This is what I'm trying to do. But during the day, I do this thing with a company called Telegration, and I'm in the telecom business. Now, when I heard telecom, I thought telemarketing. I didn't know any different, right? I'm in my early
Sure.
20s. I have no idea. I showed up the next day. He had a backwards hat on. He was chewing on an Einstein bagel. And I can say that because I know Terry well. And he told me a little bit, and I said, all right, I'll go try it. And I never looked back. So I was a partner.
Mhm.
I was commission only. So to your point, I totally get where the partners and the effort and the struggle and sacrifice they make to start off. Back then, there were no spiffs. It was paid on paid. So I would work all day, go back to the office, turn in orders, go to the Moose Preserve on Woodward, if you know that. And I would change in the bathroom and then wait tables till the night. It took me about 3 to 4 months until the check started hitting, and then I quit. And I haven't looked back. But yeah, I was a partner for about 6 years myself. So
Yeah.
love the business. Glad to be here. Tell us a little bit about your favorite book. A couple things before we wrap up and get into that, into the case study. Tell us about your favorite book. Could be business, something that's impacted your life.
You know, I've always been like a Zig fan, you know, from the early days. But I don't know, the one book that I really liked was a book called The Power of Focus by Jack Canfield. And it was just you know, he focuses in on your, you know, how to manage your money, how to manage your business. But the one key takeaway that I got out of that book was, you know, to focus on the things that you're good at and the things you like to do, and find somebody else to do all the others, right?
Interesting. And your favorite app? So it could be professional, could be just personal. What's your favorite app?
Yeah, the favorite app is probably Instagram for sure.
Instagram? Okay. You post a lot? I'll have to befriend you and check out your posts.
Yeah, I'm on it all the time.
All right. Good deal. And last is, I don't know if you'll you'll do this now, but we were spending some time in our pre-show doing a little bit of impersonations of Rodney Dangerfield. Maybe at the end you'll give us one if we hang on.
Yeah,
be the teaser for everybody.
Usually Rodney comes out after a couple cocktails, so maybe towards the end.
All right. Just don't have cocktails between now and then.
Right.
So anyhow, all right. With that, I appreciate. Thanks for letting us get to know you a little bit better. I am going to turn it over to George and to John to dig into things, and we'll let you guys go. Thank you.
Very good. Yep.
Awesome, Brian. Thanks a lot. And hello, everybody. Boy, we sure do miss getting together. So it's good to see you, John. Great to be meeting with you today. So, you know, this was a great win for Vonage and with one of the best partners, I believe, in the business. You both did a great job. I had a privilege to travel to the client headquarters and attend key meetings during what they call the vendor days for this customer. So it's a large enterprise client. And it really gave me good insight into what the client's culture environment was all about. Mm-hmm. So I just want to lay the landscape, you know, so then you and I can work on how Vonage won. So that way everyone listening can get an idea of, you know, the type of customer it was and what we were working with, right? So if you guys can all visualize, so we have the second largest network of funeral homes and cemeteries. So that's what this company does. They manage funeral homes, cemeteries, over 400 of them, mostly east of the Mississippi. They acquired them over time from small business owners. Disparate phone systems, right, John? We walked in there, you and I were talking like Panasonics, God knows what was that.
Yeah, it was a mix match, yeah.
You know, old Cat3 cabling everywhere, virtually no Ethernet at any of the sites, really, just a few. But nothing was really consistent site to site. So probably very difficult for the main company to manage and to even help troubleshoot and get a handle of billing. So we had a very aging firewalls, LAN switches, you know, phone service from every different disparate phone company out there. When I was being described this by our partner, I was thinking of like cobwebs hanging from punch down blocks in the back storage rooms. I'm sure all of us have been to customers. Yeah. So, you know, our AppSmart partner was hired to come in. He's very organized and he's got a great sales process. So he was brought in to run an RFP, and, you know, he earned the trust of the customer to be able to come in and really improve and build a whole new backbone and really clean infrastructure at all those facilities. So he built this RFP that included all new cabling for every site, so Ethernet everywhere, new Wi-Fi, LAN switches, SD-WAN, security, aggregated mobility for hundreds of corporate-owned phones that were out there. I think they were paying on all kinds of phone plans. And of course, a brand new UCaaS platform that we're going to talk about today that really, sealed the deal for why the customer wanted to do all this. They were able to save so much money just in hard and soft costs. And the amount is, I believe, 7 figures over a term of the contracts. And the soft costs were just the maintenance and management. It was very frustrating. When I went out there, you could hear it in the customer. Very frustrating just trying to get a handle on the dollars and what was going on at all these locations. So, through this process of all the different technology, there were 10 different providers that were brought in to make a presentation and bid on this RFP, of which 5 were UCaaS players. It got narrowed down to 2, and Vonage won. And you guys did a great job. I was there to see the presentation, super impressed. So John, what were some of the keys to you winning the deal?
George, right off the bat, I thought, it starts with the partner, right? It starts with that agent. We had to build trust with that agent where, they felt confident enough in bringing us to the table. And building that trust in a partner doesn't happen overnight. You got to build relationships with these folks, while focusing on that whole agent experience. And then, we also have to prove ourselves to the master agent too, because if it wasn't for the master agent, we wouldn't have been in front of that sub agent, right? But, we fought pretty hard during that RFP process, our entire team. We had to prove that we could manage the project, starting with, the UCaaS product. And our product is called, VBC. It's called Vonage Business Cloud. The customer liked, first of all, that product comes with, fully robust 50 plus features. It comes with our, collaboration tool called Vonage Meetings. The customer really liked that. They thought it was extremely user-friendly. And of course, that's going to allow them to communicate to all those different locations that they had. The customer was also quite impressed with the G Suite integration that was required. But I don't want to
interrupt you, but this is really important. So this part of what the technology is one of the 3 pillars that your company is built on, right? Of your service offerings.
Yes, it is.
So,
yeah.
And then we're going to touch on the other 2 today too, which are very important. And there's a lot of opportunity for our partners in the market to take advantage of what I believe are state-of-the-art offerings. So, can you elaborate a little bit on the integration? Just, you guys have more than just G Suite out there. So I know that won the deal, but what else do you have?
Well, so Vonage really has done a nice job with their integration. Starting probably about 5 years ago, they had this company. It's a middleware company that provides 16 different pre-built APIs that gets into all kinds of stuff from your G Suite to Salesforce, Dynamics, NetSuite. It goes on and on and on, right? So sometime we'll have to have an IPA and talk about those APIs, George. So
yeah.
The Vonage does a really nice job with its integration suite. But
awesome.
Yeah. So I was just going to kind of finish up on that story with the how we won this and why we won it. But we were on the final day of this whole RFP. We were actually called back to do a final presentation. We were told at that point it was really kind of a 50-50 split between us and Ring Central. Not only did we hit on the pricing components. Customer wanted to see the final presentation on the product, on our CPass product, They also wanted us to talk about implementation processes and the support team. And, not only did our team just kind of hit it out of the park, the customer, said they told us it was very obvious that we came prepared, to this presentation. And it's funny, George, because you know what, we get that a lot, we hear that a lot from the partners and from the customers, that even just showing up on a webinar to do a webinar for a customer, when it's done, or when we talk to the partner the next day, we hear that consistent message is that, we came, prepared, we came to play, and we really, impressed the customers. So after we won the deal, the customer told us that, they felt that our single IP stack was the big differentiator, knowing that we could future-proof them if they ever needed that additional technology. And so to your point, yes, Vonage owns the UCaaS, the CPass, and the contact center pieces. There's not a lot of companies or competition, that can say that. So, and the other thing is, and here's the funny thing about this, is while this is all taking place, the pandemic hits, and the funerals kind of come to a halt, right? So now, the customer needed to kind of adjust their business and focus on virtual funerals. And so, right away, the partner, knowing, our technology, reached out to us right away and said, hey, we need to take a look at that video API and see if, if we can integrate that into their website, to allow not just to do the funerals, but also to allow customers to come to that website and view, all the different funeral homes around the country, all the different features and things that they provide. Because, really it's, you think of funeral homes as a funeral home, but really it's also a sales organization, right? So, so they're actually entertaining implementing that product as we speak.
Yeah, so it's like a line item, right? So do you want to have this? Do you want to have that? Whatever it might be. You're right, it's a business. I mean, sometimes we get uncomfortable talking about it, but it's a very robust business. And for sure, they're looking to expand, their services and help with the margins and what they're doing. So it's unique. And you and I have talked about this, that just the effects of the pandemic and just how business and shifts, right? So here we don't meet the channel partners. We got to take your jokes over a video call. Although one of these days I want to play golf with you before fall hits, because we don't live too far from each other. But nevertheless, right? So,
right.
But the idea that Vonage has this very nimble offering with a lot of development on the back end was really beneficial, I think. I just want to make a comment about your, you mentioned that during the presentation. So I was able to, and the reason why I brought up that I flew out there was, one, I lended support to the partner, because it helps, right? They have second eyes on what's going on, especially a pretty big opportunity like this with a large customer, large enterprise customer. That executive, you had the account team that did a great job with presentation, but having executive peering there was extremely important. In my experience of selling, and I've sold in the enterprise space for years, having executive peering is really salts it. They've got the business cards, so the executive team can make a phone call over, or your guys can reach back over. Hey, how are things going? It's important to develop those relationships. So I have worked personally with your direct account team. You guys do a great job all the way up, and to have the executives there too, and willing and able to present and put themselves out there, I think really went a long ways.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask it. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was just, it's interesting too, because when you look at we have pricing, competitive pricing. We have some phenomenal, products, especially with owning all that together. Right. But, a lot of it too is behind the scenes, and it's the people. It's the culture within Vonage. When you look at the people that work here, I mean, there's a lot of experience, there's a lot of tenure. There's not a lot of turnover, at the company. So, when you get in front of a customer and you have this type of experience, the customer picks up on that, and they can read that, and they can see that culture. And so when we started talking about, the implementation process and what we brought to the table there, we even brought those people that manage those teams to sit down and lay out that whole scope of work of the implementation process. This customer was floored. And I also think that was another key component to helping us close that business.
Project management, delivery, huge. Seriously, they were nervous. So I don't know if you knew this, but I talked to people were trying to get in the door there, knowing the scenario the customer's dealing with that I laid out earlier in the call. There have been other companies talking to them, trying to get in prior to this RFP for a couple of years, from what I understand, at least. But so I have a feeling, the customer's going to have some anxiety about making those changes, because now you're disrupting the business. The business was working, but it wasn't working efficiently and effectively. And, it was costing more money than it needed to cost to get where they wanted to go. So our partner comes in, who's extremely organized, well-heeled, very articulate, and he knows how to work in different, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment, different departments within the company to help bring it all together. So with your support, it was just a match. It really was, No,
and the thing is, and that partner that you're referencing, I mean, again, that gentleman is, very experienced at what he does. But my point is that, partners can also rely on us to help them during like a discovery process, so, when you uncover an opportunity and we get in front of the customer, our team does a really extraordinary job with the questions and during that discovery to try and help, figure out, this may not just be a UCaaS play. This might be a customer that has, some business issues or some pain points that we might be able to address with our technology. And I can elaborate on that a little bit later in the presentation on some things that we did for other customers.
For sure. So your project management was phenomenal. It's still, I've worked with those people. They're great. That was key, very important, and, they're spot on. So, that we know in our industry, PM work is important, especially when we start to get into larger than just, 50 seats at one location deals, right? Which we'll sell a lot of with your team, by the way. So we do all the time, every day. So those deals go in great, but the enterprise ones are very important. Getting the contract signed is the first step. Now we got all the work, and you guys are doing a great job with that. I have a question about, go ahead.
Yeah, before that question, so you got me thinking here about the project management. I just want the folks to know that, it doesn't require an enterprise account, to get that type of support, right? The type of customers that we go after, we really like to look at, 50 seats and above, just because, those customers will typically have a integration need, right? So any customer that bills over $1,000 a month gets a full-time project manager assigned to the account from start to finish. And then once that account is completed, then our CSM takes over, and they're like the farmers, and they maintain those accounts. Any add-on business that goes on there, the partner gets compensated for that. And so it's just nice to know that we have this whole team here that's really has their own incentives to take care of that customer and make sure that they're happy, they don't leave. Maybe there's upsell opportunities available. So
that's awesome.
To think that, oh my gosh, I got to go out and have this big account. You don't really need a big account to experience that.
Right. So it's always good to have the couple of big ones, but the day-to-day stuff, it's great to hear you guys can really support on the day-to-day sales and the everyday small businesses out there that really need what you have to offer and are flocking to Vonage for it. So, hey, you threw out a new acronym out there. Well, newer. I've heard of it. We're working with some, but, a lot of our partners may have heard of it, but aren't sure. CPass. So, we got all these as a service acronyms out there, John. So can you define CPass? And again, just cover what, so it had to do with the video or something. Can you define CPass for us?
So CPass in the industry is known as Communications Platform as a Service. Really, it's a programmable, platform. In our world, we have voice, video, and SMS APIs within our CPass, platform. And what this does is it allows developers to build custom applications, for either that customer or their for whoever they want to use it for. Also underneath that, you might also see things like artificial intelligence. We also have our own platform when it comes to that as well. So under the CPass, this is where things can get really, really fun when you're working with customers. And so, like some of the use cases, I'll throw one out there, is the Peloton bicycle, right? If you guys have one of those, all of those videos are being streamed through the Vonage video API, right? Uber is another one where they're using, again, under the CPass platform, our geofencing. So when you use that app and you open it up and you're looking for those cars and you see them moving around, that's, we're delivering that.
Wow.
So again, these are like enterprise accounts, but I'll tell you, there's also a lot of, I'll call them mid-market applications that are out there. And here's one that I'll share with you. I think it's really, really kind of cool. There was this Chicago company, and through the discovery, process, we uncovered that they were having problems with recordings of their conversations with customers that are accepting a product. So what they had to do is they had to capture the call, and then they wanted to be able to move that call or that recording and dump it into 3 different CRMs. And it was almost impossible for them because all they could do was take the entire recording. So through our technology, we actually built an integration here that allowed the customer to just take a snippet of that recording that basically says, yes, I'll buy, I'll take it. And then we allowed them to upload it into these 3 different CRMs. And the customer was just floored. There was some development price and cost involved in that, but you know what? These guys were happy to pay it because we solved a huge problem for them. And the other cool takeaway here is because we own all this under one, stack, it really kind of speeds up our, go-to market, that speeds up that process. And we're not really worried or working with, third-party developers. Another fun story, George, I'm gonna throw this out there before I hand it back to you, but, think about this, George. How about, if you were to call in sick today, all right, we would have an employee could actually type the word sick. Instead of calling somebody, calling the boss, they can actually type the word sick to a short code, right? Our short code is 50601. They could type that word. It copies the boss. It copies the entire team, right? Employees that might be off that day could actually respond to that when they see it, and they can type the word accept to that same short code. It copies everybody, and life goes on, business goes on. We had a particular customer case or case study that came up with a nationwide sporting goods company that had that exact same, this is what we used it for. And it was just very clever. And again, it's the customers just looking back at us going, wow, this is so, this is so cool. We had no idea that you guys could, deliver on something like that.
That's awesome. So it's amazing how this technology, and what's great is we can bring this down. So once it's developed, right, at the higher level, we can bring it to the smaller customers that could really benefit from the development done already. Is that true? As this builds out and, or do you think development costs will start to come down for the smaller customer too out there?
Yeah, so you're making a great point there, because we do have some off-the-shelf stuff. We have one that's called Smart Numbers, and in the Smart Numbers, application, this thing can do, different tasks. Like, for instance, I could call Brian Babbage's cell number or desk number, and I'll get a recording saying that, sorry, Brian's not available right now. He's on a call. But what will happen is through the smart number, it'll do like a little data dip and look at his calendar, come back through a voice, response and say, Brian is available at 1 o'clock Eastern today. Would you like to take that time slot? Yes, I would. Puts it on his calendar, sends him notification that now, I have a new meeting at 1 o'clock with this particular individual. So it's really, I'm going to tell you, it's really kind of fun when you have access to this technology, because when you sit with a customer, you really have to develop some really good questions during your discovery, and they can't really be about, cost savings anymore. We really have to, dig down and find out what business issues are they dealing with, what pain points, and sometimes you might want to talk with different individuals within that organization, not just IT. You might want to talk to the VP of customer service or the call center manager, operations. How about marketing? Sit down with these folks, ask some questions, and you might walk away with a couple different, issues that we can sit down with you and kind of peel them back and see if we can come up with a solution for them. And if you bring an application back or a custom solution back to a customer, they're yours for a really long time. And
Yeah,
it's fun, a lot of fun.
So do you see that pre-built list growing too? As it seems like technology, I'm just thinking out loud here, but gosh, even just speech to text stuff, everything is improving dramatically month over month, in my opinion. We're seeing more and more technology rolling out. And you guys have a monthly call with our team, your engineering, which is great because, hey, by the way, we're going to talk about this in a moment. We can do X, Y, or Z in our CPass, your third pillar, right? Which you couldn't do 6 months ago. So it's amazing. I bet that pre-built list will start to grow more and more as development becomes, more prevalent in those different areas.
Especially in the contact center space. Everybody's focused on that customer experience, and they really need to offload a lot of the calls, that are coming to either, this customer service team, the sales team, or the contact center team. It's becoming easier and easier to build these applications so that you can program, your conversation analyzer or your artificial intelligence applications to, manage and offload all those requests. Plus, at the same time, your customer's getting what they need quicker and they're happier, right? Two-factor authentications and things like that. It's, again, it's really making this industry, fun again. And, you can sit down with these customers and just find out what they're dealing with and get to know those. And then, once you work with a particular industry and you solve a problem for that industry, now you can go take that vertically, right? Start calling on all the, credit unions or insurance companies or whatever. I mean, think about an insurance company. You crack up your car, right? You call them, they send you an app, you click on it, you walk around the car, you show them the damage, done deal, right? Everything is faster. I didn't have to make an appointment, I have to wait for somebody to show up to take a look at my car. I didn't have to drive my car into a dealer or whatever. So again, you got to be able to look at this technology and figure out how you can solve these problems for customers.
I think that we become more industry specific for our clients. We'll learn what their issues and problems are, and they're probably common, like within the banking industry, for example, and like you're saying, right? Or car dealership industry, right? Where they've got specific dealer management software platforms that need to integrate. So it's interesting that you bring that up. A lot of small business, we saw even doctors become, like selling their practices or merging with others, getting into cluster locations where they didn't have a call center before. Maybe they had ring groups. Now they can implement a call center because it's it's easier to implement with your stuff, with your platform. And so they can build out what they need to be able to communicate with their patients or clients, whatever the business is. For sure the technology has gotten a lot easier to work with. So can we talk a little bit about the third pillar? So we've covered the first two, UCaaS, which we've all been talking about for the last couple of years, CCaaS or CPass. So we actually hit the new one second, but a big one right now, and it's hot, is contact center as a service, or CCaaS. You guys have a great integration with Salesforce. Now I hear it's expanded. So can you just touch base on what we've got going in the CCaaS space?
Yeah, certainly. But I just want to kick this off with just by saying, you're going to see more and more, contact center, opportunities. Just with everything that's going on, companies are going crazy, scrambling, looking for different ways to, to fulfill their business continuity plans and using contact center as the solution. So, again, Vonage owns its own contact center platform. Not a lot of my competitors can say that they have that. That is the third pillar. This can be sold as integrated with our UCaaS, or it can be sold as a standalone. This product is in the Magic Quadrant today, so we get great visibility. The big difference is with the way we integrate, right? So Salesforce is really, we don't even call it integration. We're like embedded with Salesforce.
Like you're alive in it. Just from what I've seen.
The data is stored there. To give you some facts on Salesforce, I'm going to jump ahead here for a minute. We've now been working with Salesforce for probably about the past 3-4 years. And they have what's called their App Exchange, right, within Salesforce. And we are number one within the App Exchange. When you look at their reviews, there's over 700 reviews, and each one of those reviews is giving us a 5.5 rating. We recently been named to their Summit Partner List. So and what that means is it's the top 25, right? So out of 3,000 vendors, the top 25 gets that recognition for the Summit Partner, and we're in it. We just got that recognition. We're the only contact center, company in that space right now. So I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going to tell, the partners that are kind of watching this, if you get anything out of this, if you walk away with anything from this, this presentation, just know that if you uncover a contact center, opportunity with Salesforce, we're it. We go head to head with all the competition, all the leading top contact centers out there. And when we do demos for customers, we hear they say the same thing over and over again. They stop us, they look at the screen, they point, and they say, this is exactly what we're looking for. We have an 80% closing ratio when the stars line up with contact center with Salesforce. But to answer your question, George, we did recently add ServiceNow and Microsoft Dynamics. So those are all embedded the same way that Salesforce is. So now, when you're out, prospecting or if you're talking to customers and these folks, are using these CRMs, you have to get us a seat at the table. We will do a great job. The presentations, you will learn so much just from the presentations. You don't have to be an expert, when it comes to this. We have so much, we have a big team along with our engineers that'll back you up on that. So what I was going to say that, full omni-channel, the AI conversation analyzer. I mean, we can build this, we can build the call flows exactly, the way the customer needs them. So from small contact centers to large, we got you covered there.
So quick note on this too. So we're going to be hosting a deeper dive call into the Bondage CRM integration in the upcoming week. So everyone on this call will get an invitation. So the Bondage engineering will be on the call with our SaaS channel manager, Steve Slaughter, and myself, and we'll be showcasing a demo on Salesforce integration. And we'll also be discussing other integrations like, Dynamics and stuff, but you guys all gonna wanna be on this, and invite all your friends. It's gonna be awesome. And if you haven't seen it, even if you have, you wanna see it again, only because I think the technology is improving more and more every month. And last time I was in, I thought it was outstanding. And just a side note, so Steve's team, Slaughter from AppSmart, on our SaaS group, they can help the clients with those, working in Salesforce, building it right, or Dynamics, or Microsoft Shop too, from our SaaS portfolio, and then work with your team at Vonage to deploy the whole solution. So really as a advisor, you can bring a full solution to market. So we'll look forward to that call coming up in a couple of weeks. We're getting ready to schedule the date within the next day or so, and we'll make sure everyone out there is invited. So looking forward to that, John. So hey, real quick. So you know what? Just wanted to touch base with you about just winning an enterprise accounts. I'll give you my quick 2 seconds worth of just from my experience over the years. And you and I have talked about some resources that Vonage has. But I found even just our top advisors have been very good at upfront prospect researching, like you talked about earlier, getting to know who the executive teams are in sales, marketing, finance, whatever the business is, if it's a manufacturing company, okay, who's, who are the big engineers that are going to be users of applications. So not only are you selling to the IT person, but once you gain access in and the customer wants you to, come in and they invite you in to work with them, it's important to be able to know all the other players at an enterprise account, in my opinion. That way you can bring them in to the meeting and you understand more about how the applications are being used. That way it's easier for your team to help design, a system to be able to benefit them utilizing the integration piece, right? So, also, I just wanted to touch base on this too. Our partner who won this big deal we were talking about, and others I've seen, promise great and deliver phenomenal deliverables. So, but what they deliver is outstanding, meaning that they get, they do detail analysis. So I think that's important when you're in an enterprise account. A lot of times they just pay the bill, not realizing that there's money leaking out or they don't have efficiencies they didn't know they could have. So when you're able to come with a very detailed approach to what's going on in that customer's business from a communication perspective and how they could possibly, marry their applications into a communication platform like Vonage, I think that's paramount to winning the business and gaining trust at the enterprise level. For sure, we can share some best practices with you. So anyone want to reach out to me, feel free to. We can have that side conversation. So John, you and I talked about this. How can you help us get a maybe account map or work with your direct team to find great prospects to work on?
Yeah, so, first, we're going to kind of talk about our teaming approach. And this is very interesting. So back in 2018, Vonage decided to leverage their direct sales teams to help support the channel. This is really under the direction of the channel managers and the pod leaders. The benefit to the partner includes, more feet on the street to help with quotes, demos, lead generations. The direct team gets, what happens is the direct team gets tagged to the channel sales in these markets. In return, they can tag partners to deals that they uncover organically. This is the whole, the teaming approach. We've been doing this for 2.5 years, and the partners love it. The direct team also has, their hands on some fabulous, search engines that are provided, by the company, where they can see if customers are in a buying mode or not. This is when the direct team will focus on, some key enterprise customers, and, they'll get notification. They'll find information that, U of M is shopping for UCaaS, or they're clicking on, contact center. They see this information and they can see where it is, how it's rated. So the direct team will then start reaching out, to these customers to see if the timing is right, if they can open the door. At the same time, we have partners that are also calling on that same, customer perhaps. So this is when we can sit down and we can align a direct rep with a, partner. We can sit down and take a look at their, top 15 or 20 enterprise accounts that they're trying to, get their foot in the door. And who knows, maybe the direct rep is already, a little bit further, entrenched in that account, or maybe the partner is. And then we do a little account mapping. So that is something that you could expect, especially for, partners that are engaged, with Vonage. And, it's just been working out extremely well.
That's awesome. So I've worked with your direct team.
Did I answer your question, George?
You did. Absolutely.
Okay.
No, dude, I've worked with your direct team. They're fabulous. So, it's when and we had direct team involvement with the big sale too. So we need it. There's no way we're going to, so the wealth of knowledge is awesome.
With some partners, we have weekly calls set up with them. And
Right.
what we'll do is we'll share a screen with them. We'll share a spreadsheet, and we sit there and we kind of talk through, these different accounts and,
Right.
what happened, what's the next step? And, did we get a chance to open the door there or not? Or, hey, did I bump into somebody at a social event or whatever it might be? And then, that particular agent is working hand in hand with a rep, again, trying to open up those opportunities. And, it's working out quite well.
That's great. So Brian, welcome back to the call. Do we have any questions in the chat? And also, before I drop, I just wanted to ask, so you've got a ton of experience selling in the large enterprise accounts. I mean, you've traveled the country typically meeting with large customers. Can you please share how AppSmart can help our advisors with large multi-location deals?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Probably like the last 10 of the 15 years I was at my last company, that's really what our main focus was. So that existed here at AppSmart, but we're extremely passionate about large multi-location enterprise deals. You heard about it today, the collaboration between AppSmart, Vonage, and our partner. So that lives. A couple things that we have that I think are really cool, that even our most experienced partners that do really well still gravitate and grab onto, is we have a multi-location blueprint. So everything from some things that are often and commonly ignored, agendas, how to strategically use an agenda to expand the buyer's table and to get somebody to invite somebody else to start the actual conversation before the conversation starts. So there's all types of strategic, a lot of times people just look at the agenda and think, you can take it or leave it. There's a strategic way to use it. We talk about that. We like to teach that in case somebody has lost that art. Meeting minute agendas, collecting everything in one spot that can be sent out to the whole buyer's table, or keep an executive who pushed you down involved with all the evidence you're collecting. We have a template for that you can put your logo on. We'd be glad to share that with you. Handwritten note templates, folders, how to do Google alerts. Everybody out there, if you're a partner, you have a prospect list. So you not only do you have company, but you have multiple people within the company that you can be doing Google alerts, set it up to a G Suite or a Google account that just comes to you, and you get alerted by things. Those could be the difference makers, that you get something, fold it up, write a handwritten note on it, make some lumpy mail, old school, send it with a handwritten note, and now you're different than the next person who's just firing emails all day. So we have a whole system. I could go on and on about that we're actually going to be doing a webinar on, but we'd love to share. We also have a great post-support team. So along with the supplier, Vonage, in this case, we also have a team that works hand in hand to keep you as the partner on offense and continuing to sell, and less stress on your back office if you have it. Some partners do have it and some partners don't, and they really get taken out of the field when they don't align with the right companies. to help them along on that post-sale part, because then they sell and then they're managing and then they sell. So we want to keep you on offense making money. So the last thing is strategic, alignment with suppliers like Vonage. John, I know you're going to touch on really quick here your preferred partner program. So if you can give some highlights to that and how partners that are on the call can reach out to their AppSmart rep and inquire.
Yeah, really. Yeah, thank you. So we do have what's called a Vonage Preferred Partner Program. Okay. Outside of our normal excellent partner support, that includes teaming, right? This program is really kind of reserved, for our elite partners who are engaged, who work with us on a daily basis. The status does come with some additional financial incentives. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with a, kind of a little teaser here. If you guys are interested, you would like to, reach out to the channel manager at Vonage that supports your region. We have, I think it's up to 16 or 17 channel managers, around the country. These guys are pros, a lot of experience, very successful. You could probably learn who those folks are by reaching out to your AppSmart, representative. They'll easily find, who these people are. But what's going to happen is at the beginning of the quarter, the beginning of the fourth quarter, this is when the marketing team allows us to add partners to this preferred partner program. There are some qualifiers, that we look for, but it's really an incentive where you could get leads, you could marketing funds, and again, the additional, financial incentives that comes with it. All we're looking for is we're looking for partners that want to take time to invest in us. And if you want to do that, and you have room for us in your portfolio, there's a chance that we could probably add you to that program. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Get with your AppSmart rep. If for some reason you're on your call and you don't have one, reach out to me personally. I will align you with someone and love to get to know you on that. And John, we talked about that with Taylor the other day, your RVP, about it's so much more than the money. That was my opinion of there's something about momentum with a program like that, getting to know a supplier like yourself, getting in lockstep, knowing exactly how to sell it, and really getting those reps in, the repetition of it. I think you'll not only do you get more money, but you sell more because of getting to know someone more, I would say, more intimately from that perspective of how you operate and how to sell your product, how you integrate, some of the things you talked about today. Those little things are the difference makers when they're prospecting on calls, being able to tie in their productivity suite with their UCaaS play, that type of thing. So I just highly encourage it. So thanks, John. With that, I'm going to say thanks to a few people, including first yourself. So we appreciate you jumping on, sharing today. Thanks for your help in this opportunity that was able to be closed with our partner. I want to thank Taylor Costello as well, your RVP, along with the whole team around the country. Like you said, there's so many of you around the country. I think you said 16. And then also a big shout out and congrats to Kurt Allen. I think it's right around like a quarter. He was named your channel chief, worldwide channel chief, I think, something of that nature. So if you've been in the channel, yeah, obviously huge addition. So if you've been around the channel, whether you know him personally or not, you know Kurt Allen's name, and what a great addition. So hats off to him, and that's really cool. So again, thank you, George, for helping and sharing today in today's webinar. If you could just hang for a second, I have a couple announcements, and we're also going to be doing a quick survey at the end, which we are extremely interested in your feedback. But here's a couple announcements. So Channel Partners is next week virtually, as we all know. John, we won't be getting on a plane sitting next to each other, but we have a couple folks from AppSmart that are going to be participating and speaking. Number one is Tim Bassa, our Vice President. He's going to be doing a debate 2020, the future of distribution. That is on September 9th at 12:10. So if you go into the app, you can sign up. We also have our Senior Vice President and General Manager of AppSmart and AppDirect, Renee Bergeron. She's going to be doing a fastball session, Powering the Future of the Channel. That's on Thursday, September 10th at 12:15. couple more. We got a lot of announcements today. Our next webinar is Wednesday the 16th, and you'll get if you're on this list, you're going to get an invite for e-signature Why Now. And then I want to also promote last meeting of the masters. Tim Bassa is going to be working with, moderated by Kurt Allen with a few others, and that is going to be on the 16th at noon. So that was a lot of updates, but we hope that you join us. Obviously, these are all on our social media, on those platforms underneath AppSmart. You can find ways to participate, sign up, and we'd love to see you there. So as we wrap up, thank you again for carving out time, investing time with us. We appreciate your partnership. As always, our team stands ready nationwide to help in any way we can. And thanks again to John and to Vonage for today's webinar, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.